Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Kamphaeng Phet. We're in part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site that's Sukhothai, Kamphaeng Phet, and Si Satchanalai. There's the three cities of the former capital of Thailand. And we're going to go through the northern section. There's two sections over here in Kamphaeng Phet. Actually, there's three. There's another one that's down by the river, but the two parts of the historical park are the north and kind of the inner part. So anyway, the first thing we're going to look at is Wat Avasa Yai. It's a 15th to 16th century temple that's right here. It has a whole bunch of smaller little buildings and stuff like that. And we'll walk around through here and then we'll go look at the Wat Chang and some of the other sites. This is a really cool place. So let's see what we see today. And is Wat Avasa Yai. This is when you first come into the park. You can come into it from two different sides, and we came in over by this way here. This is, I think, the largest one of the ruins. It's quite large, and it has a bunch of small little buildings, has like a little pond, and a whole bunch of other stuff that we'll see. There's a lot of laterite stones here. You can see how they built the wall and everything here with the laterite stones. There's a quarry here in this part of the city that they actually could quarry them right here, so it wasn't too hard and they didn't have to bring them very far. You see the laterite stones. They carved them into those little round discs, and then they would have used some mortar to put them together. That was a hall there, and there were monk quarters. There was everything else at this site. And then we'll go up in there. And right over this way, this is where the pond was at. You can see the laterite stones that they would have had them lined with. Yeah, this is the pond. You see the bricks? So they cut the laterite into some small bricks for here. The blue PVC was not original. That's a modern addition. And then this over here is the main part of the ruin. So you can see the chetties. They would have been shaped like a bell. The other ones that you see, the long spires, is the Sukhothai style. The bells come from the Sri Lankan style. And then there's Lana styles. You see a bunch of different types of chetties in this area. And there would have been chetties all across here. So they would have had a base, and then they would have had chetties. And then we'll go up into the main part. Yeah, this is fantastic. I like the use of the laterite stones for everything. The rails kind of gives it a cool look. And you see how they built the base. So they used these laterite stones, built them up, and then they used them for the rails. Most temples you'll see these made out of brick, but I really like it how they did it with the laterite. And then they put the plaster for the styling, and the stairwell to go in is everything is laterite, which is pretty cool. We have a tree that's kind of overtaken. You can see more chetties over there, and then another base. There probably would have been some chetties inside of here on the corners. It's hard to say because there's not much remaining. They have these little columns stuck in here though. I don't know exactly what those would have been for. They look too small to be the covered porch. Let's go up to the top platform. So we'd have had a little porch on the front with the Buddha image, and then this would have been the main hall here. Place over here for the monks, the laterite stones, a pedestal for the Buddha, and then we had a big huge chetty right out of the back. You can see the size of this place, and it just goes out there in the trees. It goes up that way and all around. They don't really know how far this temple extended. They don't really have a clear definition of the boundary, but it was a large footprint. And then you can see the indented corners on this chetty. And so there would have probably been like a bell up on the top. Now it's all completely gone. And a little bit more of the little rail here. And they would have had an elevated platform there for another building. Yeah, just really a massive site. What you do see here, this part of the chetty is gigantic. And this is the level I'm at right here, and then it goes down to that first ground floor. And there's more chetties, more buildings here. more of those laterite stones that they stuck just down in the ground for the glass wall here that surrounded the temple itself. And here you can see how they notched the laterite, and that would have been what was stuck down in here for that little rail. All right, let's walk up to these other buildings here. Yeah, pretty cool. This building up here has a little dog standing up on the top. I don't know if you can see him. So hopefully he's friendly. We'll walk up there and say hello anyway. And then over here is that chetty. You see how it's kind of splitting a little bit right there on this side. This is fantastic here. So you come up here, they would have had this walkway. They have these thin cut laterite stones that you see like this. And they have it lining the little walkway that's going to go right up to that building. It's a really interesting style. And then over there is another one of the little ponds. And they have the same thing where they stuck the laterite stones down. And you see all these column pieces. There's quite a few pieces that they just have strung out here that there's no real home for them anymore. So hopefully they'll figure out a way to do some more additional restoration. This is the platform here. So it doesn't look like there's much here other than these trees. And that dog, he scurried off. I don't know where he went to. So there would have been another building here and more out in the trees. And that dog, he ran off over that away. And then you can see just tons and tons of the buildings and then that pond right there. So it looks like it was just dug down into the laterite basically. And then they lined the top of it with the brick. Okay, so this is the first site here. Let's go into the park some more. And you have to pay 50 baht for a car to get up in here. It's 100 baht for a foreigner, 20 baht for a Thai. Or you can buy a multi-day package or a multi-site package for 150 baht for a foreigner and 30 baht for a Thai. And that includes the 2 sites here at Kamphaeng Phet. You can see just how massive this is. This is that first building we looked at there, and then the chetty, and then these other series of buildings over here with more out in the trees. And the other sites are quite a ways away. There's tons of small sites out here amongst the trees, but the main ones will be like the Wat Chang. That's the one we'll go look at now with the elephant. This is our second stop. So this is Wat Chang Rope, or the elephant temple up here. And you can see there's the ordination hall, and then the Wehan is over here, and it has like a pond. And then the highlight of this part of the temple is the 68 elephants that are all around. And then it had a bell-shaped chetty up on the top of the platform. So it has stairwells on for the cardinal directions, and you can go up to that top tier. We'll climb up there right now. It's 31 meters by 31 meters. It's a square base, and it's quite cool. Just the front halves of the elephants are sticking out. You can see they're in pretty bad shape, but they've restored a couple of them. And then you can see the entryways had a small little chetty up on the top also. You can see a few of the little chetties and stuff that they had out front. And then they'll have the lion's garden guarding the entryway. And then the elephants. They're missing their trunks, but you can see the detail. They put all that styling with the little floral patterns and everything around their feet, the things around their neck. You can see their eyes. Oh yeah, it's very cool. You can see the other figure that would have been standing there. And the lions are in pretty bad shape, where you can see what they would have looked like. And then you got the flowers in between them. That one there, right there, those two are probably in the best shape. And then the corner ones. And then you can see the arch up there, that corbelled arch. Okay, let's go over this way. I think this is how we have to climb up now. This used to be where you could go up here, but now I think they have just one way up and down. And this entrance on this side is closed up also. We can see the pond, how big it was. And this building here is kind of sloughing off. So they need to get in here and shore this up. You can climb these steps here and go into this building. You can see how this was constructed with the columns right here and then the Buddha image. It was quite cool. You'd have been able to go out of the back right there up to the top of that jetty. And they notched everything, so they would have had some wooden beams going across. So all that wood rots away, so it's completely gone. And then you would have been able to go right out of here into the prong. You can see it's closed up. That's quite cool though. You can see over there they use some more of those laterite stones that are just stuck down in the ground that make the outer wall, and then some more of the buildings. And then this one over here is closed up, so it looks like we're going to be blocked. We're not going to be able to go up there at all. But you can see these elephants over here have their trunks. So you see how they built the core with the little head right there, and then they did all the stucco work on it from there. And then these lines are just down to the laterite. Yeah, these right here are in fantastic shape. So you can see that from the 14th century, all those little floral patterns and everything that are still existing. Oh, it's amazing. And then here they carved all the laterite stones to give it the shape. And then all these trees that are kind of overtaking some of the chetties and stuff out here. And another small building. And then this is the last wall here. So they have it completely closed off. That's a bummer. I don't know why. I climbed up on that last time. And it's just walking around on a dirt platform up top there. Anyway, all right, so there's another group of temples, the main group in the center of the park. That's our next stop. And there's some really cool stuff to see there. And over here, this is that small little ordination hall. You can see what's left of the Mueang stones. Those sandstones have almost completely eroded away. And then we have just the base of a Buddha that was made out of laterite. And then it would have been plastered over the top. All right, so down over that away, about a kilometer or so, is the next part of the park. So we're off the hill, and there's several little temples out here in the trees. And there's a few that we're going to look at here that are the big ones. We'll look at that, which is the coolest thing in this part of the park. And then up here, this is Wat Sing. And then there's another temple over that away. And then the quarry is behind us. That's where they quarried everything here. Now this is a 14th century temple. And it has the ubasot that was a wehan, and they converted it into an ubasot, which is the ordination hall. And they call it Wat Sing because there were lion statues all around the top of the base up here. You can see the wall here. And just this big, huge area. And then over here in the trees is some more of the little buildings and stuff. And how cool are these little figures up here made out of the laterite. So let's go up here. So it has the gate guardian figures still up here. Now this was converted to the ordination hall during the Ayutthaya era. Whenever it was the Sukhothai kingdom, they used this as the wehan. Check this out. So they have the plaster between the little sections of the laterite that they carved. And then you can see a little bit of the lion figures that would have been up here. And then here's the Mueang stones. And then this hall here. So it's a rectangular hall with the laterite stones, the same as everything here. And they had a front porch that would have had an image. And then you would have went inside. Here's the raised platform for the monks. And we got a guy here that's leaving some of the offerings for the Buddha image. You can see the laterite core, the face. Oh, it's just fantastic. And so you can see he's down here. He left all those Fantas and water and stuff. But you can see the nose still on it. They carved all out of that laterite. So you see just the core, and then they would have put the plaster over the top of it. There's just something about this. I really like to see how it was made. It's cool to see them all gilded and nice, but this has kind of a beauty all in itself. And then over here, right behind this, there's the little chetty that has the 4 images on the 4 cardinal directions here. You can see this one here. It's the same. It's a plaster Buddha that's missing its hands and stuff. They have a pedestal, and then you can see the image inside. and that corbelled arch. So they used some brick up top. The rest of it is all the laterite stone. And then some chetties, and then they used the laterite stones for the perimeter wall. Yeah, this is a cool little building. And more brick up there. And the plaster work. So, and you can see how the arch was constructed. And then check out how they raised these little corners right here. Yeah, that's fantastic. And this over here is missing. This would have had another image. And I guess when King Rama IV came here, they had some old pictures, and this was a chetty that was bell-shaped up on top, but it's completely collapsed down. And there would have been another image over here. And then this would have led to another series of like altars and stuff like that. And then the wall. And while we can see the image on this side, there's a little bit of the building. The arch and everything is gone. Okay, let's walk over to the next temple right over here. See the base here of this Mueang, and then some more bases over here. These would have been all probably like monk quarters, stuff like that. And when you first come in, there's actually a cool sala. We'll look at that sala, and then we'll walk over and look at that chetty. Yeah, this right here, this was a little sala, place for people to sit and rest right out here in front of the temple. You can see just everything is made out of the laterite stone. And then we'll walk over there now. Okay, so this is our next temple here. This is Wat Phra Si Ariyabot. And it's similar to that other one we just looked at. It does have the big old Mueang here. And then you enter through this little entryway, which is quite cool. This is kind of the sala, but a little bit different. Now what you see in here is there's going to be a mandala back there with the 4 postures of the Buddha: the standing, the walking, the seated, and the reclining. And that's the highlight of this part of the park to me. And there's quite a bit more stuff down in that way. Some more of these buildings, the monk quarters, the bath, the latrine, and some other buildings. So they would have had the lion figures up here, as well as the little guardians and stuff. And it has the little, like the little rail around it out of the laterite. You see the pedestals and stuff for the images. And this would have been a pretty good sized Mueang. Now they say in this temple here, the Mueang was the most important building. The Ubosot is kind of a small one way at the back of the grounds. It's quite a bit smaller than this building here. So you have the place for the monks to sit on the raised platform and the columns. And then they would have had a laterite Buddha right there. You can see it's pretty much all gone. Just a little tiny bit of the body and some of the plaster for the knee. And then a tree growing up here. But right behind it is one of the coolest things that you'll see. So it has 4 different sides. So this is I think this is the walking Buddha here. You can see the chest, see a little bit of the legs. It has one leg kind of raised up. And this would have been like a covered little pavilion right here in front. And then down here is the rails, and it had the chetties. There was quite a bit to this right here. And you can see over here, this chetty is almost gone. There's some stairs that went up to the inside, but it's pretty collapsed down. Okay, so we saw the walking one. And then on this side right here, so they made part of it out of brick, part of it out of the laterite. And then there had been another little part of this, and this would have been the reclining Buddha right here. So down here is the feet, and you can kind of see the outline that would have been up to here. This would have been the head right here, resting on his hands. And then this would have been all plaster and would have looked just absolutely beautiful. And this would have been a smaller little room over here. And then you would have came around, and this in here. But how cool is this? So you have the standing Buddha right here. Oh, that is just fantastic. And this would have been, again, it would have been another little room over here on this side. Yeah, in really, really good shape. You can see the eyes are downcast and closed, and his hands would have been both at the sides, and just see the detail work in the robe and everything else. And then on this side would have been the seated Buddha. Yeah, here's the seated Buddha. There's his legs, and the body is all missing. But you can see this is kind of concave right here. It would have been just kind of wrapped around all four of the images. And then they use brick and laterite here on this construction. Okay, so let's go over here, and this will be our last little bit we look at. And like I said before, this is the ordination hall, and it's quite a bit smaller. So it was kind of neglected as far as things go here at this temple. Then you have the pond and the other buildings that were out here. All right, so this is the last little temple we'll look at in this part of Kamphaeng Phet. This is Wat Pra Non, or the temple of the sleeping Buddha or reclining Buddha. And this is one of the better preserved as far as the halls. There's a lot more of the walls and stuff standing here. So they would have had the lion statues around here, and this would have been the ordination hall. You can see the pedestals for the ordination stones, and then the columns are in really good shape. They still have quite a bit of the plaster on them, and then there would have been images and stuff like that in here. It's pretty interesting though. They have these as octagons, which that's the style of Ayutthaya. So this might have been renovated whenever Ayutthaya controlled this city. As they were here, and they used this the same as what Sukhothai did. This was one of their fortress towns. Kamphaeng Phet is like the diamond fortress. So you have some of the little laterite Buddha images. These are the small little disciples, and they would have had the main image right there. You can see this is one huge piece of laterite, and then they have the smaller bricks up there. Oh, that's interesting. Well, these are just the bricks, and then we'll go back into this Weehan. Yeah, you can see why this one here is in still good shape. Just look at the size of those stones that they used, and the same as the pillars. All the roof beams that were made out of wood are long gone. And what's cool is they use those little slit windows that you see right here. This was a styling from early Ayutthaya era. They used those in some of their buildings also. So I think this is the base of the reclining Buddha. So this whole building was built for a reclining Buddha image that's completely gone now. You can see the back wall here. This would have been a large cavernous room with laterite stones here, and then they would have had, looks like a seated Buddha back here. That looks like, and they might have had 3 images here, because there's 3 little cubbies here for them, but there's nothing remaining. So there might have been 3 seated Buddhas, or there might have been a standing Buddha. It's hard to say. No indications of that now. And then more of this little room. But check out these windows. So they put plaster in between, so they had to get their trowel in there to put that plaster on. And then we have a really nice chetty here. So the top, that spire is missing. That went up to the finale, but the rest of it is all here. And you can see that there's 3 tiers to the base, which would have been the Sukhothai styling. And then it went up to the bell at the top. Yeah, so this would have been pretty nice. So there's a write-up over here talking about King Chulalongkorn, or Rama V, visited this temple, and he praised that chetty for its beautiful shape. And then, like I said, there's just tons of ruins all out through the trees. I think there's like 20 or so ruins in this park. Most of them are small. These are like the biggest and the best ones here. And we have another little shrine building here, and then back over here they would have had one more seated Buddha here in this building. Yeah, you can see this would have been like a square building, maybe a little bit of a rectangle, and then it would have had that mandapa back there with the seated Buddha. Yeah, quite cool. You can hear the cicadas doing their thing up in the trees. just nice and quiet out here. There's not the throngs of tourists. Finish up our video over here at Kamphaeng Phet. This is the north part of the park. It's separated into a couple different sections. They have the north and then the south, or this central part that has the museum and stuff like that. The south has, I think, the former Grand Palace, and their royal temple is in that part. And I'll make a video of it another day, and you can look around it also. So hopefully you enjoyed this part. This is super fantastic. This is fun for me. I like getting out here and climbing around on these ruins and seeing all this stuff. This is a part of the region's history, and you won't find the massive amounts of tourists here. This is just kind of a smaller site. It's a little bit cruder than some of them, but it still does have some really nice ruins, and it is part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and then you get to see more content of stuff that I see. I do videos of things that interest me, and this interested me, so I came over here today. And if you're subscribed, you get notified when I post a new video. And leave me a comment, tell me what you think. If you have any questions, ask me, and I'll do my best to answer them. And until next time, from over here in Kamphaeng Phet, remember, life is a journey. Enjoy.